Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. Very excited to be back. I'm super, super happy to be here hosting you for this wonderful editorial stream. We had a little bit of a chat before getting started in the live about all the wonderful project, and Heather has a lot of things planned out for these 2 days of editorial design. And first of all, I wanted to say hi to everybody in the chat. I can already see the chat rocking. I can see Vuduval is here with us today, helping us out, sharing all the super useful links. And then we have Robert, Stony, Elizabeth, Fabio Rossi in the chat. Also, our amazing Paco is here. Nice to see everybody. And of course, as I say here all the time, Adobe Live is a wonderful, safe space to learn together. So if you have any question, I'll be here watching the chat, and make sure to tune in on behance.net/live so I can read your comments and read your questions, and make sure I can pass it on to Heather so she can share her feedback and share her tips with us regarding design. And of course, she's a graphic designer, illustrator. The project that we're going to be working on is part of her freelance portfolio. So if you have any questions about freelancing as well, I think that's a great opportunity. And before we get started, Heather, just going to say, I want to remind everybody real quick to check out the first week of Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. There's going to be a replay with our amazing Howard Pinsky. It is every day at 9 a.m. Pacific, so make sure don't miss that out. You're going to find all the information here on behance.net/live in the schedule. But now I think it's time to learn more about you, Heather. So I'm super curious. I know you're based in Montreal. I'm just going to leave it to you to, I know you got a nice introduction for us. So I look forward myself to learn more.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, hi, my name is Heather Lynn. Also Heather Lynn McDonnell. It's hard to pronounce. But I'm a graphic designer and art director based in Montreal, Canada. I've been here for about 5 years, and in those 5 years, I started my design career. So I've been working in the design community, like I said, over 5 years, working in agencies, studios, worked in a gallery at one point, and all throughout that time I've been freelancing as well. So you can find me designing at Billy Club, which is my current employer. I work there Monday to Thursdays. I work on all sorts of fun and creative projects. It's fun because I started my creative design career with Veranik, who is the owner of Billy Club. I started there as an intern, and I'm so happy to be back once again, and this time as an employee. So if you look through my portfolio, you'll definitely see a lot of shared projects with Billy Club. So it'll keep going on. But also, I'm a freelancer on weeknights and on the weekends, which I do for my home studio. And I've created a lot of my editorial designs in the past over freelance. So it'll be nice to kind of show my process I've developed myself over the years.
And it's wonderful. I think it's amazing because we were talking about, showing how the branding influences the actual editorial piece. There's going to be so much useful information. And do you have all your Instagram and everything linked up in your Behance? Is that the best place where we can see you? Feel free to, showcase your website, or, I usually love to give a shout out to Instagram pages and everything else that you want people to go and check out your work. So I know.
Yeah, you can definitely go on my Instagram right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go and give Heather a follow. It's always very inspiring. I pretty much follow everybody that I hosted or has been here on Adobe Live. I think it's super exciting to, stay in the loop with some amazing art, and especially when it's all about your design, as I can see.
Yeah.
So what's your handle so everybody can go and follow?
HeatherLynn.jpg.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. I never
nice
seen
and easy. Yeah. Yeah, I like to post mostly about my work. I try to stay a little bit distance from Instagram. I use it a lot for communicating with friends and other collaborators, but when it comes to actual Instagram posts, I like to just post my work because it's nice to connect with other designers and it's an easy way for them to find me.
That's super cool. Now, before we get started, Eder, I was mentioning before that we love to, the chat is here live and they're going to ask us questions. I'm going to, I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm going to interrupt you and pass you all the question, but we're here.
No worries.
And there is also something, we're here with Voodoo Val, and usually when I'm paired up with Voodoo Val, it means trouble. We love to do some polls. So if you have any doubt, just in doubt, we can do a poll and we can ask people to vote as well here in chat. So if at any point of your design process today or tomorrow, just bear in mind that there is this wonderful opportunity to create a poll, which is usually very fun to gather people taste and maybe get their opinion in the direction. But super excited to get started and look forward to see this project.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, I'm excited too. Yeah.
Do you want to start in InDesign, or I don't know if you have a presentation to start with, or?
Well, I'll just talk a little bit about like the project itself for a little bit. So that way there's a bit of an introduction so people can kind of understand, like where it's coming from, and just see the designs that have been done before. So that way, whenever we're in InDesign and I start putting things together, it's not super random. So yeah, today and tomorrow we'll be focusing on layout design of a fashion lookbook, and applying like photos, typography, colors, and some like custom framing and a little bit of storytelling to the lookbook. So this project is like fun, creative, very light, and it has a bit of like a retro and a craft wink to it. So that's nice and fun. So I'll just link up to like the fashion designer who I'm kind of showcasing their work today. So they're my friend and collaborator, Hannah Isolde Goodman, and her company is called Hannah Isolde. So she reached out to me in 2019, pre-COVID, different times. But we thought it'd be nice to do like a rebrand together. So I did like the logo, I did like full rebrand, like icons, illustrations, framings, website, even art direction for photos, like the whole package. Yeah, exactly. Like did art direction for like the spring summer 21 collection. So that is what I'll be showcasing in the lookbook, which is nice. And it's the most recent pieces, of course. So the way that Hannah works is she's very into like doing slow made, so she's not really staying up to date with all the other like larger fashion houses that are really like outputting very, very quickly ahead of time. She's a woman show, so she likes to go at her own pace, which I think is really cool. And yeah, I'm really excited to showcase her work and showcase also the work that I did for her, because no one's really seen it yet due to me not putting in my portfolio just yet. But after the whole Adobe Live, I'll have even more reason to update my portfolio with the lookbook and the whole rebrand. So that's nice.
And I love that we have the flowers, and the mood is like also behind you as well.
Yeah.
So we have some flowers behind you. That's like, it totally feels like it's part of the mood board. It's lovely. It just matches.
Thank
totally
you. Well, yeah, I did like the art direction, but also like did some of the styling a little bit. And we had a friend do the flowers. So these are actual flowers from the photo shoot.
Oh, so it's actually part of the, that's amazing. Wonderful. Super cool. I'm glad I noticed it.
Yeah, good eye.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I'm very excited to show you. So the lookbook that is being created today and tomorrow, like I said, is for my client, Hannah Isolde, and her fashion brand. So her work itself is very much inspired by craft, heirloom pieces, and retro movies. Her work is handcrafted with love and meant to last, and also being handed down to future generations. If I'm a little bit slow, it's just because I'm turning the page, because I wrote a little bit of an introduction beforehand.
That's fine. Take your time. We're all here. I'm here reading the chat, making sure everybody's okay. My mom is in the chat as usual. You need to
Oh,
know either
cute.
my parents are like in their 70s. Let's just say it like that. I'm not gonna put a number on it, but they actually learning how to use Photoshop by watching Adobe
That's
Live, which is
great.
super
That's
fun.
wonderful. Oh my God. That's
Yeah, and they're like on
awesome.
Lightroom taking photos during their holidays, which is extremely funny. But yeah, tell mom.
Oh, that's super cute. Hello. So the lookbook slash collection title is called Daisy Days. It's inspired by the daisy, a flower that's like super symbolic for optimism and playfulness, something that we all kind of need during the pandemic, and also inspired by the 1960s film Daisies, which is very like aesthetically adventurous, kind of silly and colorful movie. So I'll be using photos from the spring summer 21 photo shoot that I art directed and was photographed by Mallory Lowe. So yeah.
We have a little question here regarding the type, which I already, noted, which is super beautiful. Did
Okay.
you create a bespoke type? Can you tell us a little bit more behind, what's going on behind that beautiful typography?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm just gonna open up my, okay. So.
And we have another comment in the meantime by Voodoo Val saying, I really love that the brand aims to make products that can be passed down through the generations. I feel like we don't have a lot of things like that these days anymore. Totally.
Yeah, most definitely. That's partially why I was really excited to do this project, because it definitely felt like, the right project for me. I'm kind of picky sometimes when it comes to projects, at least with freelance nowadays, because I can be fairly busy. But for me, this project really like met a lot with my heart. I'm very much into like cyclical fashion, and so is Hannah. So 1 second, just excuse the slow computer.
Don't worry, we are there. I'm sure there was a lot of, I was gonna say there's a lot of juice to load.
Yes, there's a lot of things. I'm just so yes, what was I saying? Okay, so logo. So the logo itself was bespoke. I generally like to start from a type whenever it comes to logos. So I'll start from a font. This one was called Roslindale, is a thicker font than what's used like for the secondary fonts. But I really like not stretched it, but like really made it a little bit different. Some core parts are still the same, but very much more like rounded out. I redid the A's completely, same with the S and the E. And I had a lot of fun. Just for this one, we really wanted something that stood out, felt retro and very like unique, and not dated. So yeah.
Totally. I think it looks very beautiful, and I can
Thank
totally
you.
see that like retro element, but it's subtle at the same time. It's very legible. I think sometimes, it's really nice because I've seen different fonts on the website, and I think it's nice to differentiate between having a solid logo that is memorable and legible, like, the beautiful job that you created there.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a fun one for sure. I appreciate. So I'm just going to show the elements that we'll be working with today. So first it'll be just like the Illustrator file. So whenever it comes to the logos, of course, for the lookbook, it'll be more related to the cover. Perhaps I'll use like the tiny HI/hi as maybe like a little signature on the bottom of each page, perhaps. There's like this nice stamp that was created as well. I have these very like flowy, ornate like ribbons. I have a little bit of inspiration for the framings today. So the framings that I want to use, I want it to kind of feel like an older lookbook, something that you might have found at like, I don't know, a Renaissance or some sort of like thrifting store. Looks like it's maybe designed in the 70s or 60s and has like all these like fun elements that we don't see too much nowadays. So maybe a little bit extra in design, but very fun, playful.
More is more.
Yeah, exactly. For this branding, more is more. There's some parts that are a little bit more simple, like the use of the color. Generally use the like the beigey very, very light beigey yellow as the background. But today, since, I want to have some people's opinions, I definitely will maybe have a little bit of polls just to see, like, is the type going to be colorful? Ooh. Is the background going to be super colorful? Are we going to do framing that has like a stroke on it, or no? Is it going to be really sharp? So yeah, we'll see where we go with this.
Wonderful. Budoval, are you listening? With St. Paul's coming up. We usually have a lot of fun, so sorry if I'm like giggling here, but I'm always there. Like Budoval is there helping us all the time, and she's super fast and super quick, and usually when I'm here I always there like throwing polls, and I think it's a great way to interact and to spend time together and to create options. Of course.
Exactly. Yeah, I do like to have lots of options. So maybe there'll be even like a few spreads that I do, which will have like different frames or different colors, and we can go over and see like which ones work best together. Cause yeah, choice is nice.
Plus, we have all these pretty colors, so I'm sure it's gonna be a hard choice.
Yeah, there's a lot of colors. It can definitely get a little bit chaotic, but do we want it to be chaotic? Do we want to be a chaotic lookbook? We shall see. My idea is that this is going to be my first draft for Hannah. So, whenever I'm officially done it, I can send it to her and she can let me know what she thinks. I'm sure it might be a little bit different than the final piece, but this is very much just like the behind the scenes of the first draft before I send it to the client. So more like whenever I get to have the most fun. So that's nice.
Yep. They always say like it gets messy before it gets nice. So
yeah, as you can see by this artboard, it's not very messy, but it's definitely not the most organized. But
no, I mean,
part of
yours looks very organized. I was talking about me, like mine gets, I usually get really messy before I get nice and organized. And I think that the beauty of being here at Adobe Live is actually to share that process where, usually you just see the portfolio, you see the finished, polished look.
Yeah.
And the beauty is just to see the reality of the work that is behind it, and the process. So really cool. And thank you so much for sharing so much depth about the brand. And I think that really helps to contextualize what the lookbook is going to look like.
Of course. Yeah. I don't know. For me, I like to know almost everything that I can about a project before moving forward. Especially whenever it comes to my freelance, because, I'm the only like creative person that's working on it on my end. So I don't have people like organizing things for me. So I have to like go and search for myself. And also I do find sometimes, there's always a little something that you could be missing. So I want to try to make sure that I like cover all the what do you call that, bases?
Yeah.
So I like to kind of show it's nice to show off my process. It's not the same all the time, of course, since this is already like a brand that's already been done. More just showing how we can like apply branding to the lookbook, how to make it fun. So like one of the things that's going to make it fun is going to be like maybe having this like very fun, like, what would you call that? Not checkerboard.
It's like a
Harlequin. It's a Harlequin diamonds.
That's a really cool reference.
Yes.
Are you a fan? Are you a fan of her style?
Oh, of Harlequin?
Yeah.
I did watch the movies. Yeah, it was a fun time. Yeah. Yeah. So, and also I use Harlequin in this because it's very like Victorian in some ways, and it has like a very nice like graphic look to it while still being kind of like vintage. So it's nice, and it's vector as well, so it's very easy to use. And we also used it in one of our photo shoots just for the floor, which is fun. We did it by hand. So you'll see that later. But yeah, something that I like to do is like to have a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm an illustrator as well. I don't illustrate all the time like I used to, but I like to input little things. These were 2 frames that I did super quick last night, just so I can like input them into InDesign and then link in the photos, and you can see how it looks. We'll also try some photos that are framed with like rounded edges. So yeah, so that'll be nice.
I love you know, the freedom of the shape, because it's like it's definitely
Mhm.
not something, you know, especially the one on the, I think is your left, I guess.
This one?
That is, yes, I
Yeah.
really love it. I really caught my attention. There's so much movement, and the brand looks so fresh with all the beautiful photos and the flowers. And I, you know, almost like looks like a breeze, a wind just went through the frame and just moved it around.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely want the brand to feel like very fresh, very fun, and especially since it's summertime. You know, it's not, you know, it's almost the end of summer, but I thought it'd be nice to do the spring summer 21 lookbook all together, so that way we have just like one little last moment of summer before fall really hits. So yeah, and then the fonts that I've used in this. So Roslindale, it's like the headline font. We've got one called Astoria, will be used as more of like an accentuating font. And then for the body copy, it's Agrandir, which is Montreal font. I'll talk more about the fonts a little bit later whenever I'm in the InDesign, but I just kind of want to talk about the brand a little bit before I jump in there. And then
And we have two questions whenever we're ready.
Yes. Okay. Right after this, for the lookbook cover. So for each different collection, each different lookbook or lookbook collection, same thing. I'm wanting to have like different fonts just for the name of it. So the idea is kind of want to look a little bit like cinematic, kind of like a film poster. So for this one, I'm using something called Rizzardo script. Rosado script. And we'll be playing with it a little bit later just to make it a little bit more dynamic and not just on one line. So that'll be more whenever we go into the cover design. So yeah. So what are the questions?
I love that you're sharing with us all these beautiful type juiciness here. That's like when, you know, usually you see pretty type, but when you're actually, you know, seeing the names, I'm actually taking notes. I got my pencil here taking notes of the names. So I thank you so much for sharing. I think that's the beauty of actually, you know, but there's so many fonts out there that when you get like some nice pretty cool one, juicy one like the one you're sharing is always worth taking a note.
I appreciate that.
We have the first question from Jessica saying, where did you get the photo references from? So I think I want to extend. So thank you so much, Jessica, for this question. I'm going to also stretch it a little bit more to say, what are your references? Like, can you tell us, you know, online or books?
Yeah.
I think that's a great question, Jessica. Thank you.
Well, I'd say whenever it comes to this project itself, it was related to, not related, but I did most of my research online because there was a lot of retro things that I found online. Really, if you just need to find like the right thread in Pinterest sometimes in order to find like the right stuff. Really, if it's just surface level, it takes a little bit of time, but then once you hit the right one, then you get all the good inspiration. So I like to use Pinterest, like, you know, everybody else. Sometimes I use Instagram, but it's more related to like film photos, cinematography, all the like old poster designs. I really like looking into the past for inspiration. And other times it's just being outside, you know, like whenever it comes to like the different framings and stuff, like I'm inspired by this, but it's more just like where my brain goes. So, you know, I get inspired by anything, nature, people, architecture, art.
Do you take a lot of photo with your phones and just kind of like have a huge library of reference lost in there?
Exactly. Yeah, though my phone's like often dead, so my brain is also kind of like the library, but it's not always super trustworthy. But all that to say, like, yeah, I find a lot of inspiration from art, from movies. If I'm looking for very visual things that I haven't seen before, sometimes Pinterest is really good. But yeah, for this one, it's definitely more like movies, like old cinema posters, Art Deco, like flourishes.
So yeah, and that's like exactly what the second topic was about, but you already covered it out. That you know, that is basically Art Nouveau vibes. That's what Val was saying, and what Val was saying that really hits my heart big time.
Aw, thank you.
Oh, we have a wonderful question from Val, which actually could be very useful as well. Do you ever use Adobe Capture?
Adobe
If you don't
Capture.
know what it is, it's totally fine. Like,
Is it like an application you have on your cell phone to like
yes.
pinpoint
Is
things?
is part of the wonderful Adobe services, and not only we actually have it inside Photoshop as well now, and you can do so many
Okay.
things. If if you haven't used it before, no worries, but I would definitely recommend to go and check it out. I usually I listen to a lot of vinyls, so like you were referencing
Mm,
movies, I reference
yep.
music. And what I do, especially when they're not my vinyls, although I would like to keep them and just hide them in my house, but
Yeah.
unfortunately I can't. So what I do is just like use literally get my phone and take a photo with capture. And there are different things that you can do. You can pick up the color scheme. You can pick up
Sorry.
shapes. So for example, many 70s LP have this beautiful framing around the actual
Yeah.
cover. You can actually, getting into a vector shape right away. Or you can, create gradients. But one of the coolest things that especially with font, with a vintage font or font that is hard to use,
Mhm.
there is a part of Capture in which you can literally lift the font. So it scans the font that is on any surface or any photo that you're
Mhm.
taking. It reads it, and then it finds a similar font that is on Adobe Font Library, and it puts in your library. It is
Oh,
in your app. So it's like, I always say, like,
that's
with Capture,
great.
you get content in a snap, because you literally take a photo and all the assets are in your libraries, which is super cool. I would definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, it'd definitely be good for old fonts because old fonts, like I have a couple of resources that I use for like finding old fonts, but sometimes it's just really difficult.
Super, super useful. And you
Yeah.
get the same things in fonts.adobe.com.
Mhm.
So if you ever go on their website, as long as you have a screenshot, it just tells you what is the similar font that they have in the library, which I think is super useful.
Oh, that's perfect. Cool.
But let's get back to your mood boards.
Yes. Okay. So this is pretty much it, to be honest. More the work board that I'll be kind of like copying and pasting some things from. I'm sure that there's probably other ways to input things a little bit more with hotkeys and stuff, but I'm a little bit more I don't know, a little bit more like quick about things. So I'll actually just start in InDesign, so we can finally start there.
Let's get started. And while you're launching design, I'm just going to do a quick recap. I can see Caroline, and for whoever is joining us now, we're here with Heather Lynn designing a wonderful lookbook, part of our freelance portfolio with a branding. If you just joined, don't worry, you can watch the replay as well. And we've been talking about the branding, and now we're ready to dive into the lookbook.
Yes. So, though this book is not actually going to be printed per se at the end of the Adobe Live, perhaps it will be, but I'm going to be working in print today anyways. So, I like to do the good old, inches for the units. And I think today, I believe this is like an A4. Yeah. Yes, A4. So I'm gonna go just with that today because it's nice and simple. How many pages? Let's see. Thinking about like 24 pages. So the important thing whenever we're doing editorial design, if it's going to be printed, it has to be in units of 4. So that's very good to know. This document is going to be more the interior document, and then I'm going to be doing a separate cover document later. Since, of course, if it were being printed, it would be printed separately, unless it's perhaps like a zine, but even so, the documents are generally printed differently or
Do you usually
separately.
usually the majority of the time, or if you just want to talk us about this project or your
Mhm.
freelance project, do you usually sort of advise and suggest what is the best sizing? It's part of your consultation, it's part of your decision, or you usually get a brief with a predetermined sizing from the client?
It generally depends. Sometimes the clients will have an idea in mind where they'll come to me with like perhaps a zine that's already been done before and just say like, I want it to be this size. So then of course, measure it, talk to the printer to see if it's actually economical to go with that size. Cause sometimes, you might think that it might be a good price, but then turns out that you're actually using more paper for like the square unit or whatever from the sheet. So it's not working out price-wise. So sometimes you have to work with a printer. And I always like to trust the printer because they definitely know what they're doing and I trust them with my life. So usually I'll have like a consultation with a printer just to talk about the sizing because that's important. But today it's more of an imaginary print project. It'll be going to the client. It'll be the first draft document of the lookbook, but it won't be the final one, of course, today or tomorrow. So yeah, but yeah, I think an A4 is good for this. I want something that is, like, this is not like a letter size, it's a little bit taller. I generally tend to like things that are a little bit more tall than wide. I don't know why. I feel like whenever I think of wide books, I think of things that are very old fashioned, kind of like old school fashion, not fashion books, old school photography books. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I'm a bit gothic, so I really like things that are tall and thin when it comes to books.
I think that you made a great point. I mean, more than one great point. Val is saying here in the chat, get you a printer you can trust with your life. And that's exactly what you were saying. I think, I used to work at a printer. That's how I started my design or graphic design sort of pivoting. But what you were saying, I used to go and get into printers. Like I literally book appointment to visit the place because I wanted to see maybe if they have some foiling or like finishing, in-house that I could use, or some different, I think it's like maybe a little bit of a old school of our approach, but I think at least once in your life, if you're a print designer, you should go and check out an actual, printing facility, maybe a lithographic, or even nowadays a lot is done with HP as well. But I don't know if or risograph. What is your favorite printing method?
Well, back in 2016, when I first moved to Montreal, I knew someone who had a risograph printer. So that was a lot
like
of
your
fun.
Very own.
Their very own. Yeah. I'm
jealous.
I know, they're super duper cool. Now this person like lives all the way in BC with their partner. But yeah, it's like 5,000 fingers. It was their studio that had the risograph printer. And yeah, they were very generous, let me use it. I really liked it because it's something I could do kind of not by hand, but I could be the one who's kind of managing it. And, there's the different layers for the different colors. So it was, felt very old school to me and I really liked it. And the texture was just beautiful. So that was super fun.
And the beauty is that it's all transparent ink. So like you can layer up and you can create so many, like it's almost like playing with glass, isn't it? Because you can create so many different shades.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very nice experience. And if I had that kind of money to have a risograph printer, I absolutely would, because it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth the experience and helping out your friends who need to like print out their zines and whatnot. In Montreal, it's very popular to have a risograph. Or not to have a risograph, but to print in risograph.
Yeah.
To find a risograph is more difficult.
Yeah, because they're high maintenance. They're really high maintenance. And I also, just a quick reminder, like if you're thinking to, or if you're looking to this printing method, is for short runs. So if you're looking for a job that is like high volumes of prints, that might not be the best choice. It's more for like independent productions, and I think up to 1,000 or top 2,000 sort of productions, because otherwise it gets probably break the whole riso.
Yeah, I'm sure you just run out of ink eventually and be real sad. Yeah. So yeah, if I could with this project, I definitely would do it in risograph. But since everything, like all the photos are like full color, it's a very colorful project. It'll be printed in CMYK. So
fantastic.
So we'll just have to do CMYK today. So yeah, like I said, A4, 24 pages. So yeah, like I said, always a unit of 4, because it's always thinking of it as like a double page spread. So in all, that's 4 pages. Columns, that's something I'll do a little bit later whenever we get into it. Margins, I'll play with that. Bleed, very classic, the bleed. So 0.125 inches. And just open that up. Whoop. It's taking its sweet time. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, We have the bleed, we have the margin, we have facing pages, all the good stuff. So just gonna move again, there we go. Okay, so I like to work in master pages like many other people do. Whenever you want whatever you're doing to be applied to both master pages, it's good to have both of them clicked. So shift clicking the two. So that way you're not just applying it to one and then have to do it again on the other page. It can be a little bit annoying. So I'll be working on the margins first. And currently they're all linked up, but I always like to have a little bit more of a margin on the inside. Just as like more as a reminder that sometimes a little bit of stuff can get missed in the inner margins. For this one, I don't think it will, just because it is a very small booklet / lookbook. So it's not something that's, like 200 pages long, which is usually whenever you get, like you're missing a little bit of the interior margin. But for this, I'll just add a little bit extra.
So we have a question from Valen, which is more related into what we were doing before with the setup and talking print regarding the CMYK. So she's asking if you know you're going to print a project, do you start out on CMYK or do you convert it later? Like I've seen some people do. I never really understood converting later on because we run the risk of a project suddenly looking different. Do you think people convert to CMYK afterwards? Maybe there is some kind of advantage. What's your take?
So there's definitely been times in the past whenever I would do the whole like start in RGB and then eventually go to CMYK. For this time, I'm doing it in CMYK first. The photos themselves aren't CMYK, they're film photos. So it's more, we're going to be losing a little bit of the colors, unfortunately, in the photos that have a lot of green, but I didn't want to play around with the photos themselves. So all that to say, I've definitely done RGB to CMYK in the past and it's definitely created problems. So I'd say if you can, definitely try to start with CMYK. If you're getting photos from a photographer or from an artist, and if they're able to, make those photos from RGB to CMYK, make them print ready before they send it to you, that would be best. So that way you just have less room for error. And I think that's the most important thing, because when it comes to print, there's always something, there's always something that can happen. So it's best to try to think of it ahead of time. So yeah, starting in CMYK is best. For sure.
I completely agree with you. And I was just noting on the chat that that's more like of a Photoshop workflow rather than InDesign, just because of the tools and the sort of effects that you can apply in Photoshop depending on the color mode. But I agree with you, and I think if you can give the heads up to the photographer as well before it provides the images to make sure that they are CMYK, that's amazing. But what Bali said, I have a design confession to make. So we're waiting now. We really want to hear.
Yes.
I'll let you know. We have a little bit of a delay in the chat. So
okay, it's just ... at the moment.
Yes, to be continued. To be continued.
Okay, perfect. Well, for now, I'm going to save the file. So that's good.
That's a very great tip. I fail very often at these basics.
That is okay. Okay, so one, easel. There you go. So you're like literally hearing me behind the scenes. Sometimes I talk to myself. I live alone. I lived alone all throughout COVID. So I've definitely had moments where I'm like typing things out like aloud. It happens very often. So
don't worry, I talk to plants and to cats. So
yeah, exactly. I'm surprised that my cat hasn't come in here yet to like meow, but I'm sure it'll happen.
Oh, it's a boy or a girl?
Oh, it's a girl. Yeah, she's
What's
very,
her name?
very cute. So her name is Olive because she has olive green eyes. Yeah.
Aww.
And also she's very like kind of like spherical, like a olive kind of. So yeah, she's a real cutie. But you have a cat as well?
I have two, Frida and Kala.
Cute. That's awesome.
So they're not in here. I'm in my outside studio just next to my house. So there is no chance to see them, but we really hope to see Olive. I think I never had so far a pet in the stream, but it would be so cool. Everybody gets, super excited when we talk pets. I think everybody is an animal lover, and everybody should be an animal lover.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, my cat has like kept me sane through everything. So I definitely appreciate her. And if she comes in at one point, I'll definitely kind of show her to everybody. She's a little bit, she's a little bit shy sometimes.
Maybe we can start tomorrow. Tomorrow we can have a little bit like of an Olive start.
Yep, that would work. That'd be a nice start for sure. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk about like the file naming. So I think it's definitely important to be clean with your file naming. I definitely know that whenever I was in college, I was a little bit more like laissez-faire, like, I'm just gonna name it Hannah Easel Lookbook, and then that'll be the document. But then eventually when you start realizing that there's different iterations, you get comments from the client, you start creating different versions for yourself. It's always good to think ahead. So I always like to put like comp 1 or V1. Other people like to put the dates in as well, or
that's me. I'm a date kind of person.
Nice. Yeah, I like to do dates. We do dates at my job. I think for today I'll just do comp 1 though. So there you go.
So we have Voodoo Val confession here regarding printing. So apparently, and that's like, I'm gonna let you take this because I don't wanna. I used to work for a printer, so I'm just gonna like zip it and let you handle it, Heather. So she's saying, I've printed thousands and thousands of poster prints to sell at conventions. If you're not familiar with the wonderful work of Voodoo Val, she's a great, wonderful illustrator. I would strongly recommend to go and check out her work. She's a great artist. I'm a big fan of all her work. But apparently she printed thousands and thousands of poster and prints to sell at convention, and she never once converted to CMYK. She prints them in RGB.
Oh, damn. Hey. I'm sure that if your illustrations don't have like any vibrant blues or purples, I'm sure that it doesn't change too many things. But, if you're, it can definitely change it a little bit because it depends on the printer as well.
Very lenient. I wouldn't be so lenient. I'd be very kind.
I'm a forgiving person, maybe it's just because I'm not the client, maybe if I was the client, I'd be like, this is not the exact same as I saw, but I'll let it pass, but I wouldn't do it myself, to be honest.
It also depends a lot of what sort of stock you're printing on. If you print with more like of a glossy paper where there is a lot of plastified material, you also get a lot of shininess, and that's because Val art is a lot of purple. Val, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember a lot of dark blue, dark purple, or red in her work for what I've seen. But again, depending on the stock, if you get on some stock that is uncoated, where you even not only have the color change, but you also have the paper soaking in the ink, you'll be in trouble.
Yeah.
But it looks like you've been lucky. And also depends on the compression on the PDF, because sometimes the compression, if you export for print, maybe sometimes you have a little bit of a box in which it says that it's converting it, and you're very lucky that with the shininess of the gloss, I guess, you can get away with it. I don't know. I'm just gonna stop it here. Otherwise I can geek out on paper for ages.
Yeah, and it depends on the printer that you're using too, because if it's like oh god, I'm forgetting what it's called now, but it's the one that not cobalt or cyan, but it's like the kind of printer that tends to print blues very vibrant, and I'm completely forgetting the name of it, which is embarrassing. But if you're printing with that, like, that's helpful. But maybe even whenever you're like exporting your PDF, perhaps, because you know how sometimes whenever you're exporting a PDF, sometimes there's already like pre-checked like outputs. So maybe you don't know, but maybe it is outputting a CMYK, because I know. And she's saying
maybe they have been editing, the printer have been editing the files for me this whole time, and I'm not as edgy as I think I am.
I'm curious. I want to know more about this. You have to let us know tomorrow. Talk to your printer. I want to know.
We want to know now. That's going to be our like quest to understand, to solve the problem. Because I mean, Val, I'm still going to be your friend because I love you and you're awesome and your work is, you know, fantastic. But, you know, that was a big secret. But I'm glad it worked out. That's the most important thing. I'm glad it worked it out for you. And please let us know and keep us posted. It's time to bring your printer. And solve the mystery. That's a mystery now.
So I'm going to start with the margins. So I have both of the pages selected, as you can see. What I did before was for the inside, just added like a little bit extra, like very little bit extra. But if you are creating a book that is like maybe over 100 pages or in 50, like maybe even add a little bit more than that, because you will lose some of the content if you do get a little bit too close to the inside the margin. Then columns themselves. So I see people saying that they generally like to do it in like 3s or 6s. It's definitely something that like I learned when I was in college. I probably should have asked, what is the whole teaching behind this? But I'm sure that there is definitely some sort of reasoning behind it, but I'm just going to go with 6 today. For the actual grid itself, it's not going to be extremely important for this project just because it's going to be a lot of photos that we're inputting, like really fun frames, be very colorful. There will be some type, but it's not going to be extremely type heavy in the amount of type. Like we'll have type, but it'll be very big, you know?
Very exciting. And we have a question from Yadira.
Okay.
Asking, do you use alternate layouts in InDesign?
Layout. So like master pages? Like
alternate layouts. I think she refers to the fact that you can have like different way we can lay out the pages. So what was your take? You can just tell us like how do you work with your layout? So it's mainly within your master pages?
Yeah, generally for today I'm going to do master pages, but maybe I'll work a little bit out of the master pages. I'll be like inspired by the master page, but whenever I'm on the actual page itself, I'm kind of unlocking the different type and kind of playing with it a little bit. But I like to have different layouts for sure. I find it keeps it interesting. I don't like things that are too repetitive. So yes, I definitely like to work with alternative layouts for sure. It's good to have a few, maybe don't get too chaotic with it. Maybe there's like 3 pages in different like layouts that are the same throughout the book. So that way there is a little bit of consistency with it, but it's nice to have fun and for things not to be too old school and repetitive. It's something that like I'm very grateful to be working in this time and age, because I know that when everything was done by hand, it must have been really difficult to get super duper creative, and it probably took so many hours to like hand do everything. So yeah.
And we have a Yadira that is also giving us a little bit of a tip on how to access the alternate layout. So under layout, you can find create alternate layout. And basically what it does is under your page preview where you have all the thumbnail, it creates like another column. So you can literally create 2 different sizes and you can access these 2 different sizes. So, and I believe even more than 2. I'm not sure, but I think you can create more than 2. So.
Oh, perfect. So like actual sizes page wise.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're definitely unlocking something in my college brain for sure. Where I'm like, yes, I've definitely done this before. Yes, for sure. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and we have like, Yadira, thank you so much. I'm just going to read it out loud because giving us so many information. It allows you to create single pages or other designs within the same document and then export them to the main layout. I use it a lot. Yeah, it's super useful.
Perfect. Yeah, maybe my master page layouts might be a little bit more of a like, maybe I'm like doing a little bit extra work doing it the way that I'm doing it, but I'm definitely one of those designers sometimes that like is kind of headstrong and kind of like, I got my own way about things. That's what happens when you're a freelancer for a long time. You're just
Oh, it's just different way of working. Like I was saying before,
Exactly.
like there is
Yeah.
no right and wrong. There just,
Mhm.
depends what your projects are, depend what the brief is. Everything is fit for purpose and whatever
Yeah.
works best for you. I think that's the beauty of using the apps, that everybody can use them in a different way. So,
Yeah,
it looks like
definitely.
Yadira uses alternate pages a lot. I don't think that for the kind of editorial work that you do is
Mhm.
necessary to have different
Yeah.
sizes, especially when you print, because it's more of a web option, so you can have like maybe an iPad size and different sizes that you can implement.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary. And I work with I work like you do. It's
Mhm.
I think it's just more a case of creating your own habits with your workflow.
Yeah.
So
It's a good habit though. I definitely want to try the alternate pages. I like that a lot. Okay, so as you can see right now, like whenever we're zoomed out at 61%, you can't see the baseline grid. I want to see it, and I would also like it to be a different color. So I'm just going to go in preferences really quickly.
Ooh, fancy.
Woo! So I'm going to just do light gray. So also lavender sounds really cute. I'm going to do lavender.
Yes, please.
Okay, so top of margin, we're going to start at 0. Okay, so all good now. I'm liking the lavender, it looks cute. Okay, fun. So after that, to create guides, and then we have rows as well. So I don't generally work this structured, but since in case there's anyone who's watching today who is like a little bit kind of mystified by grids and whatnot, it's fun at least to watch someone do it. So that's why I'm here today, I guess. Okay, so same thing. I'm gonna do 6. Ooh, okay, I can see that the
Also, while you set up your guides, there is a question that I'm going to pass to you. And if you don't know, again, don't worry at all. But I'm here because Carol Perel, first of all, hi, Carol, nice to see you. So she was asking about the creep in printing. I don't know if she's asking if anyone has heard of creep when printing a book and how to adjust for it. If you I've never heard of it, I don't know either, but that's usually from the printing side. It's not from the design side. So
yeah, I
have
definitely
you ever
heard of
dealt with it?
I've definitely heard of the creep before. Sounds like we're talking about like a boogeyman or something.
Yes, I heard of the creep.
I'm actually not going to work with the rose today because it doesn't make much sense. So I'm just going to stop with that. But for the creep itself, I actually don't really know what it means because I haven't been like on the side of being a printer. But what is the? Can you give us a definition for everyone?
I'm just gonna give like a very quick definition of it. And again, if like anybody that doesn't know what that means, it didn't seem that the chat wasn't aware either, don't worry, printers deal with that. Is usually referred when you have a saddle stitch. So when you have either one single booklet like a menu, or like it could be any book that is stitched at the end, or it can also happen when you have multiple sections that then get bound in here. I don't know if I've got to have a book here. You can probably, I don't know how much you can see, but there are different parts of the book that then they can stitch together. So what happens is that you have one page going inside the other page. So they get folded down, and the more they go inside one the other, you lose a little bit of a, you lose a little bit of a length on the actual page. So don't worry, the printer usually adjusts for that, and then it trims at the end. Is usually up to less than 2 millimeter of that movement of the page, but printers are super familiar with that. So I would say if there is an issue with it, just now will you learn something new. If you're working with a document that has a double spread folded in two and then it gets stitched at the end, give it to the printer. My best tips to override this problem, Carol, is to give the printer single pages so they can impose, that's the actual name, they can impose the pages to print, and they have already formats which there are layouts that have been used since probably they started the business, so that will solve any problem. Instead of giving spread and the fold, just give the single pages and they will worry about the imposition. So it's more for the printer side of things, so everyone is safe.
Yeah, I've definitely worked in that way before, where I always send like the print ready PDF that is single pages. Yeah, there's a printer in Montreal that I generally work with. Well, actually two. One is Quadrascan, which is a very good, like, larger scale printer. And then there's Book Art, who I also did their branding for, and they're good friends, and they're
Oh, that's
very,
exciting. Branding for a printer, that's like golden relationship.
yeah, exactly. They're more of like a bookmaker itself, but they also do a lot of printing themselves too. But they definitely they're very helpful with this kind of thing as well whenever it comes to the protection of the book. And they were the ones that were always like, no, single page PDF. Like, they would give me all the presets and everything, which is really nice of them. I'm sure I could even show them later if I want.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, for links right now, you can already see that there's nothing. We're gonna put some in. It's gonna be great. And then for the pages, master page wise, I'm good with this right now. We have the baseline grid and we have the columns. Since it's not a super like Swiss designy project, there's not going to be a lot of like small type going on. It's not going to be extremely structured in that way. It's going to be a little bit more like loosey-goosey, kind of retro vibes, like I said before. I just need to make an edit. So whenever I start to zoom out past 75%, I no longer can see my grid, and I want to see it whenever I'm designing. So I'm just going to put it to 50% instead of 75. So
that's a wonderful tip.
Yeah. I've been kind of nerding out a little bit online recently, and it was one of the things that I learned. So I would like to impart that small amount of genius forward to other people. So yeah, I'm gonna just duplicate this. So my B master, it's nice to have a few master pages, especially whenever you're trying to make it like a very like fun book or editorial. So that way, like I said before, it's not very repetitive. So I'm just repeating the baseline grid and the columns, but I'm going to be inputting things from the Illustrator file. So like I said before, there's certain ways that I work, and this is one of the things I do just because I noticed nice little things about InDesign. So what I like to do in the beginning, I like to select all unused swatches, just delete them, get them out of the way. And then just by doing this, it just added all the colors in, which is really nice and easy. So I don't have to worry about that. And they're already in CMYK. So there you go. Got that out of the way.
Super fast way of bringing in the color. And if you don't mind, please, can you show us again, how do you change the threshold view of the grids? Because we have a question in the chat saying, can you please repeat the pro tip?
Of course, for sure. So in InDesign, if you go into preferences and then you go over here, grids, and then you'll see grids, so baseline grid. So you can change the color. Let's just say if you want it to be a different color. I made mine lavender, one of my favorite colors. It's good to start at 0 inches. So if you want to change that up, that's your own, do it at your own pace. I did top of margin since we have the margins, 12 point. And then for the view threshold, so like I said before, whenever I zoomed out a little bit too much, before it was at 75%, but now it's at 50%. So whenever I'm over 50%, then you can see them. So just go, like I said, preference, grids, view thresholds. I'll even do 25 in case I really want to see it. So yeah, and if you don't want to see it, then you just do Shift W. Oh wait, that's not it. Never mind. If you want to go into full screen mode, you do Shift W, which kind of takes away all the technical views, and you'll just be seeing the design itself, which of course right now you don't see anything because we haven't gotten there yet. I'm a bit of a chatty Cathy, so sorry about us not being there just yet. And if you want to stay within this view, but you just want to take out the technical side of it, just pressing W.
That's fantastic. So, that's how you toggle the preview mode and the normal view. Yeah, wonderful. Exactly. Thank you so much. I think these tips with the grid is super useful because that happens all the time. You tend to lose the grid when you zoom out. So fantastic tip. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. My pleasure. So I'm just gonna, so we're on like the master page. We're on A. I'm just going to take out that stroke. No point in having a stroke. That's going to the bleed. Okay, so I'm just going to have each master page maybe have like a different color, at least for the background. So for B, maybe we could have one be like, we have this like cornflower blue. It's really nice. You have like this really nice, like soft, kind of like almost purpley pink. Of course, whenever we're printing, oh, it's an indigo printer. Oh my God, this is how my brain works. When I was thinking about the blue, I was thinking about like, oh, what is that printer that prints blue very well and doesn't have to be a Pantone color? It's an indigo printer.
Yeah,
there you go.
Those are wonderful HP digital printers that you can do so much with it. So cool.
Yeah.
It prints white. It prints like fluorescent colors. It's one of my favorite printing methods.
Yeah, it's so fun. There you go. As you can see already, like, there's no design yet, but we're starting at the basics, which is just the background. Also, layer-wise, since we already have stuff on this, I'm just going to put background color. It's good to have things be organized. I'm sure there'll be times today where I'm a little bit less organized, so you can call me out if you want.
Love the color palette. It's very beautiful. Now that you're like bringing these colors out, and maybe we should do a poll to see which colors everybody likes more.
Yeah,
well, let us know if you're ready for a poll.
Yeah, I'm curious. To see like, I think there's a few colors that would be good to pull against each other. So I'm just going to put them side by side so that way we can do that effectively. Okay, so we have like this like very fun kind of like neonish green. And then we have the yellow. They're quite similar. And whenever you see like in the photos, there's like a gingham that's like the exact same colors. It's like a yellow and like a really nice green. But yeah, I guess the first poll would be green versus yellow. What do you feel?
Yes, fantastic. I think that's a very, very sensible choice for the poll. And I think, it's very interesting because, before when you just put the lime green, I was like, oh, that's amazing. But now that I'm seeing these yellow is also like, oh, that's like creamy and soft and spring. So they're both beautiful. So we definitely need to have a poll. Val, let us know when you're ready. I'll keep everybody posted when we're ready to vote on these two colors. But thank you, Heather. I think that's a very, very good poll selection. A very good poll material.
Amazing. Okay, awesome. So yeah, since we just have like a couple of master pages, like, obviously going to wait for that poll to start. And
by the way, it's ready on the chat. So if you are on behance.net/live, and by the way, if you're watching from YouTube, head to behance.net/Adobe Live so you can check out the poll. You just click on the link that Val has placed in the chat, and you'll be able to vote and choose between the lime green or is a pale yellow? Is that like a pastel yellow?
I'd say like a butter yellow almost.
Butter yellow.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna start inputting the type. Just wanna have the fonts. I'll also talk about the fonts too. I love fonts very much. They're very important to me. In the beginning of college, I wasn't so much into typography, which is very funny, but in time it was like my biggest love. So I'm really grateful that I finally got to fall in love with type. It just took a little bit of time. It was a little bit stressing in the beginning, perhaps. There's just so much choice, and being like a new student, it just felt very overwhelming. But now it's like my favorite part of design, to be honest, is typography, choosing the fonts, creating the personality of the branding or the editorial. So yeah.
I think everybody like caught that right away when you were showing the website. I think that everybody was talking about your type. So
for sure.
Definitely amazing work.
So for the first one, it is called Rosendale. It's not display. The font that I'm using is in the display font. It's a condensed light. So Rosendale is like super classic. It's a very beautiful serif. It's old style. It's kind of Victorian in its way. It's very stylish, like simple, but also has like some ornateness to it. If you look at like the R, like the leg on the R is very like fun. There's like little flourishes here and there that kind of give you a wink to Victorian type. So whenever it comes to kerning, I like to do optical. I find sometimes whenever I have it at metrics.
Tell us more about kerning.
Yeah. Whoop. So yeah, I like to do optical. I find it generally just kind of like smooths it out a little bit, because sometimes whenever I'm doing kerning, I like to just like stare at it for a little bit so much that my eyes kind of stop like looking at the form, but rather at like the white space between the type. So I've been using optical for a while. I feel like, especially whenever you're working in a bigger document, it's good to be consistent. So I like to start with optical right away and have all my paragraph styles in that, which I'll be doing soon. I'll be doing my paragraph styles in a little bit now. Just want to kind of feel out for this. So the first one, like I said, H1, this is like the larger type, Roslindale. Oh, I should also put my title. Whoops. So the title itself of this, whoops, is called, was it Rosado? And that's just going to be for the actual title of the lookbook. We're not going to be using it anywhere else, but it's important to at least put it in here. So Rosado script. Oh.
That's amazing. And by the way, I want to remind everybody to go and vote on that poll, because I'm going to be pulling out the results. I can see that there is already a winner. So if you want to like, you know, make sure that your voice is heard and your favorite color, if you want to pull them out real quick, Heather, if you don't mind.
Yeah, most definitely.
We can see what we're voting, and we're voting in between these lime green and the buttery yellow. So click on the poll link on bit.net/Adobe Live in the chat, and make sure to let us know which one we should use. Should we drop the green and go for the buttery yellow, or should we keep the green? Let us know in the vote. I'm just gonna pretty much give, whenever you're done with your styling the fonts, I'm gonna go back and look at the poll and see what's happening there.
Okay, perfect. So I can go back to master A page.
Yes, please.
Wonderful. Okay, so something that's good to see though right now is sometimes I use the optical kerning, but other times I don't. So for this font itself, so this font, I found it on My Fonts. My Fonts is a fun resource, but sometimes the fonts can be made like, it depends on the font really. There's a lot of fonts that are really, really well made, and that you're like, how am I getting it for this little money? This is amazing. Like this font itself, it's gorgeous. I really love the sleekness of it. It feels very like French, very Parisian. It has like, yeah, I really like this font. It's gorgeous. But whenever I put it in optical kerning, like it kind of breaks. So whenever I put it in metrics, I just have to go with it. It's just going to have to be at metrics at 0. So that's something that happens a lot, I find, whenever I'm using scripts, just because they are, of course, kerned a certain way, because the jointing letters, yeah, they kerned it properly. So that way the joining letters fit perfectly. So yeah.
So always remember to zoom in as much as you can. So that's a fantastic tip.
Exactly. So yeah, optical for this, but for this one, I'm just going with the computer settings that the typographer went with. And the typographer for that one, don't know the name of them, but for Roslindale, it is David Jonathan Ross. You can find his website online. He does a lot of really cool fonts. He likes to be inspired by like older Victorian fonts sometimes and kind of creates like new versions of them. This font itself has so many like alternative weights and widths. It's crazy. It's a beautiful font. It's super fun to play with as well. And like I said before, it's the same font that I use for the logo. And it's the same typeface I use for the logo, but it's a different font. So that's why this font itself and the logo go really well together. It's because they're from the same family.
Oh, wonderful. And I'm going to go ahead and announce the results of the
Oop.
poll.
Okay.
So gonna do like a little drum roll. And which one is your favorite before I announce the results?
Oh God, good question. Well, since it is daisies, I think I like the yellow better, but I guess I'll have to see what everyone thinks. Yeah.
Well,
yellow?
yeah, the
Okay.
yellow one at 54%. The green was at 46. So it just kind of like caught up at the end, but the yellow was a winner for like, quite strong from the beginning, and it looks like it still stayed until the end. So we got a winner there. Thank you so much for voting.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. That's great. Yes, thank you for voting, everybody. You're helping me make up my mind. It's got yellow, this one. So yeah, sometimes I like to just lock the layers whenever I'm doing master pages, just because sometimes like type and whatnot, like the type, and I'll show you, I'll try to type inside of the rectangle, which I don't really like. So sometimes I just like to, lock it in place. Not so much like a secret, but more just rather like a working pattern, I guess. So yeah, like this is a very like cornflower, like vibrant blue. So it's really beautiful, very purpley blue. I think I'd like to use that one for sure. Okay, cool. So we're just gonna work from this from now. So back to the font. So we have the title font, Rosado. We'll be writing Daisy Days, which is really like a cute title font. Not title font, title. We have the H2. This is gonna be the same as the H1, but it's not going to be all caps. It'll be more just for titles of the clothing pieces. And then we have Astoria, which is from Tan Type. So it's a very fun font, as you can see.
Oh, super beautiful.
Yeah. Got some like Art Deco, Victorian vibes to it. Very, very fun.
And by the way, we have the amazing Val who's placing in the chat the links for all font. I've seen before that she has placed a type wall for Rosendale, and then we have the fonts.adobe.com link for Rosado, Scraped, and I'm sure that the other one will be coming. So if you want to go and find these wonderful fonts, the amazing and one of only Val is there in the chat with the clickable link. So just go on b.net/Adobe Live and make sure to click on the link if you want to access those beautiful font that Heather, we're so thankful that you're sharing with us all this beauty.
Oh, of course. My pleasure. Yeah, I feel like a lot of what I do is just looking for fonts sometimes. So if I can help people out, that's always nice. And later, maybe tomorrow, I can also just show like my, I have a folder on my Google that just has all these different foundries and whatnot, because it's very easy to forget foundry names. There are so many. So it's good to just to keep that. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it at 12. And then so body copy. I'm just seeing, I would like to have I think I'm just going to have to go to the internet and do Lorem Ipsum real quick. Wonderful. Remember whenever Lorem Ipsum, I don't know, I think it was back in like 2015, but there's a bunch of different websites that were coming up with like different kinds of Lorem Ipsums of like different actors and like really, really funny things. I don't know if you like saw that going around or not, but
no,
I do.
I had like no idea that you had all these different versions of Lorem Ipsum.
Yes, yeah, that was a long time ago, though, it feels. Okay, there you
go. I just wanted to like give a big shout out to the fact that you can have dummy text in InDesign right away. So you can also have that going on right away in InDesign. But
show me
also
how.
Totally fine. That's totally fine. I think it's under preferences. let me go ahead and check, making sure that I'm opening InDesign because I have not used it in a while. I believe it's in the preferences. Otherwise, will be under type. I'm opening InDesign, so I can make sure that I can take it to the right place, or in the meantime, I can actually research. Let's see. Feel free to move forward, and as soon as I find the right solution, I'll be happy to share with everybody.
Okay, perfect. Cool.
Yeah, so it was under type at the very end. If you create any text box with your type tool, and then with your if you're in InDesign and create just a box by clicking and dragging with your type tool. So press the letter T and then click and drag and just create an empty box. All you have to do is then head to type, and at the very bottom you find the option to fill with placeholder text.
Aha,
and
wonderful.
That will pretty much place a Lorem Ipsum inside.
That's great.
Your box. So just wanted to give a shout out to the InDesign tools.
Yes. Yeah. Well, now I know. So that's very helpful. And I'm sure I'll use like a little bit of Lorem Ipsum today. So that's perfect. And then I'm just going to input, let's say our first frame today. Let's do this one. Super fun.
We have a question from Steve saying, so it's 4 fonts in total.
Yes, so it's definitely not a minimalist branding in any way.
Oh, we love
it. Title, yeah, for the title itself, it is, like I said before, it's literally just for Daisy Days, and it's going to be used likely only on the cover itself. And then we have Rosendale, Astoria, which is more of like accents. I like to use it for like spring, summer 2021, or it's used a lot more on the website just because it adds like a really nice like flourish to the website. But generally for today, it'll be mostly Rosendale, I think.
And I just want to give I can see, first of all, Gus in the chat. Nice to see you, Gus. So nice to see you here joining us. And hi, Lara, thank you so much. And for everybody that is joining us right now, and maybe you're in the middle of the stream, you don't know what's going on. We are here with the wonderful Heather Lynn, graphic designer, illustrator, and director from Montreal. And she's sharing with us this wonderful project and editorial lookbook for one of our previous clients, which is a fashion brand. And if you are curious and want to learn more, Heather has been going in great details to talk about the branding and show the website. So don't worry, this stream is available on a replay, so you can keep on spending this time with us, and then you'll be able to go back and watch the replay from the beginning. And oh, that's super cool. We had a little bit of a sneaky peek of the brand right now as we talk. So that's what we're creating today. And of course, we're going to be here tomorrow as well to finalize it. But that's all these wonderful color palette and these elements that she's bringing in are from the branding that she has shown us before. So if you're joining in, that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to be doing tomorrow as well. And make sure to tune in on behance.net/lives or b.net/Adobe Live. If you're watching from YouTube, I cannot see your comments. So if you want to say hi, let us know where you're watching from, ask questions to Heather about graphic design, freelancing, anything you want. The chat that we're looking at is on b.net/Adobe Live. So just a quick shout out for everybody that is joining us now. Oh, that's looking pretty. I love that color combination. So beautiful.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So I'm just gonna input some text right now. Why not? So as you can see, it's like pretty fun already, like this itself. So I like to work like this because sometimes I find like creating like rounded things in InDesign, I can do it, but I can't do it very quickly. So sometimes I like to just do it beforehand. So I've already made the actual shape itself. Maybe I should show you the actual the actual photos. I think that might be helpful. So yeah, let's just go there then.
And you also directed the photo shoot, correct?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I'm really grateful that I got to do that. That's the fun part about working with friends, and also like doing creative trades. Just means that sometimes you can just do more in the project. So like very fun, playful, obviously some heavy photographs. As you can see in the background right there, I have the flower, like the daisy chain that's in the photo shoot.
So cool.
That's a permanent installment though. It's not just for the Adobe Live, but yeah.
They're always there.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, very playful photos, kind of like retro, very inviting. Like the clothing's very feminine.
Isn't that amazing that you get to keep prop up your favorite colors from the shooting? Exactly. That was just a chance, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was like, can I please have the daisy chains, pretty please? But the designer has like this like life-size, like oversized 8-foot tall daisy in her studio, which you can see in the photo right here.
So amazing. So beautiful.
Yeah, so those are some of the photos I'll be using, and that will be inputting into the frames. And other photos will just be in like, just like a regular frame. It will just be rectangular with rounded corners.
And I have a question regarding the photo and the actual fashion, because I've seen that the ties were matching the branding color palette. So which one came first? Were like the color of the clothing and then you applied it to the branding, or that you first created branding and then they spread it also into accessories or stuff like that? Let us know.
So the colors, yeah, it's very like there's some colors like the red and whatnot that were very much part of the branding already. But yeah, it wasn't per se fully inspired by this, but the colors like this, like lavender, the yellow, the creamy white, little things like that were added into the photo shoot to kind of make it feel more branded within Hannah Easold. But whenever it comes to the actual fabrics itself, she likes to use dead stock fabrics. So fabrics that are a little bit more like cyclical in nature, where they're previously used by other designers, well, not previously used, but they just weren't used by other designers and they were sold for a little bit less. So it's good economic wise, but also good environmental wise, because it's stuff that could have just gone to the trash. And it's too bad because these fabrics are like gorgeous and they're so high quality. And I know a lot of people in Montreal do use dead stock fabrics because
it's like an upcycle.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe not upcycle. It's just something that like let's just say Gucci buys like however many feet, and they end up only using like half the feet, and they're like, oh, we have like this much left of the fabric, we're done with that collection. Then they just sell it off to a wholesale provider for fabric, and then that person sells it to other people for a lower price. So yeah. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I think it's a really nice way to work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll be seeing more of these photos as we move on with the editorial. So we have these, which are more like the campaign photos, and then we have e-com, which are a little bit less exciting, perhaps, a little bit less creative, but are more of like the detailed shots that are really important whenever you're making a lookbook, or if you're having like a price sheet, just so that way they can see what exactly they're buying for their store.
That's super cool. I love the floor as well with the same pattern.
Yeah, we we did that by hand. It's a little crafty, but that's the whole fun part of like the branding, is that.
How did you create that?
I just kind of like sketched it and just did it. Yeah.
So it's painted. It's actually painted on fabric?
Yeah, it's painted. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, it's nice and fun.
It's always about, getting it done. Everybody thinks, I love these like stories behind actual, production, because I've seen that and I thought, oh my gosh, they have this amazing fabric in Montreal. I'll never be able to get it. And in reality, it's just, your creativity into action by actually painting it. That's the power of making it happen.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of make it happen sometimes. I feel like I'm very much someone who's, I don't know, I have to make do with things sometimes. So I like to be very creative. I grew up on a little like farm and grew up in the middle of nowhere. So I'm very much like used to using my creativity for little things like this. So that's perfect.
That's wonderful. Looks beautiful. I mean, it
Thank
definitely
you.
got my attention, by the way. I thought it was like, oh, that's a Gucci fabric.
Perfect.
Nope. Handmade.
So I'm just adding in like little pieces for type. So for this one, maybe it'll be like a little quote and it'll be next to the photo that's going to be in the frame of the diamond that has like the rounded edges on it. For this one, I'm gonna probably remove this and put it over into, oh wait, there's none, oh, never mind. Okay, I'm just gonna put this over here for now. So as you can see, I'm like applying some stuff to the master pages. For this itself, I'm just gonna have it be more like a descriptor text. So I'm just gonna see, I'm just gonna be using this all the time now that I know about it. Okay.
And can you tell us real quick, how did you transform text box into a 2-column?
Okay, so I'll just do it by scratch. So
thank you.
You go into the type tool. Unfortunately for this, 1 second. So just putting it to the width of whatever you want. It can be edited though. It's nice and simple. Like you can edit whenever you feel. So then you have this in the top like header of InDesign. And I don't know if it's just in advanced or perhaps you have to go in advanced to find it, but it says number of columns. Currently we only have 1 column. And then let's just say I put 2, and then you'll see little like light blue guidelines. And currently my columns are a little bit thinner. They're 1, 2, 5. So, oh, it's even not even working there too. Interesting. Oh, that's why. So yeah, it's good to, especially in InDesign, I do like to go pretty like close up just to make sure everything is fitting. But as you can see, they're like perfectly aligned now. So that's good. So perfect. And I'll do the same thing as before. I'm just gonna input with the placeholder text. Oh, actually, I know what I'm gonna do. I see it's already 4:30. I feel like it's going by so quickly.
That's the magic of Adobe Live when you're having fun. We have fun and it goes fast. And another quick tip while you're moving your text, you know, because you mentioned, and that's really correct, you were mentioning that you were into the advanced workspace. So if your interface doesn't look like Heather, you can always use the click on where it says advanced, or maybe essential will be yours if you just open InDesign, and you can use the switcher to change it to any workspace. And if you wanted to match Heather interface, you can just simply select advanced. Or if you want to access the text box options and manage your columns, you can also just simply select the text box frame and then use the shortcut Command B or Control B on Windows, and that brings up right away all the options. So both ways are fine. I just wanted to I think you know, Heather was fantastic to point out the interface, because you know, maybe someone is trying to follow along and it looks different, and so great pointing it out. So we're working in the advanced with an advanced interface.
Yes, yeah, generally work with that, or I work in typography as well sometimes. It just depends on how I'm feeling day to day, I guess. But for this one, I'm working in advanced. I'm just gonna delete this. Okay, but as you saw before, I was just creating one of the character styles. Since there might be some like paragraph boxes that have like more than one style in it, it's good to do character styles, because I know sometimes they can override each other a little bit in paragraph styles. I remember that happening a lot in college whenever I was just like, what is going on? So yeah, it just really simplifies everything for you. It's very helpful. So having the body copy done. It's not going to look, it's not going to look like this. So that's good. But it's just rather just to kind of get the style down so you can just work on other things.
And we have a question from Val asking, do you have any pro tips and must-do pieces of advice for that we should keep in mind when using master pages?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed in the past, just for me, whenever it comes to master pages, there you go, is that you can override a little bit. So like, let's just say I'm going to go on page, not override, but it's just good to remember sometimes whenever you're doing updates in the master pages, sometimes they won't always apply if something's unlocked. Sometimes it does though. I might be completely telling a lie right now, but I feel like it's definitely happened to me in the past, and maybe it's something that's a bug. But let's just say I unlocked this in the past, and then I changed something about master A, and it doesn't apply to this per se. So then that will be unlocked, but then the new thing will be underneath it. So just, it's good to mind your layers with master pages whenever you're designing, because some things will be locked, some things won't be locked. Just be mindful. And that is my pro tip.
Yes, that's super cool. I completely agree. I usually do make a layers in the master page, especially for logos and links. If you create like an interactive piece that has like, you know, clickable links, or maybe it's your own portfolio that you want to make sure that your logo is always there. So and that's using, you know, completely agree with what you say. Be mindful with your layers.
Exactly. As I'm currently being mindful with my layers. There you go. Okay, cool. All right. So
we have a question from I think, sorry, I'll just scroll up real quick. Gangadia, sorry if I mispronounce your name, but regarding how to promote yourself on Behance. So Behance is a great way to promote yourself. Make sure to keep your profile nice and neat. And it was asking if to share his portfolio on the chat. That's usually, the chat is more for asking question to our wonderful guests like Heather, or if a question regarding the project, graphic design, or freelancing, or the software, that's the perfect place to you know, use the chat on be.net/Adobe Live. If you want to promote yourself, I would definitely recommend you to stay with us tomorrow, because tomorrow we have the artist spotlight. So around 90 minutes after the project and working with Heather, we're going to spend some time to look at someone's portfolio on Behance. And we're also going to make available a very magic link on top of the chat where you can submit either someone that you would like to put on the spotlight, or of course yourself as well. So if that's something that you would like to do, Gangadia, sorry, again, if I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I will definitely advise tomorrow. Oh, actually, Gus has actually filled out the form. Fantastic. So Gus has already shared the link that it will be also available tomorrow for you to fill in the form in order to share your information and promote yourself. So go ahead and click on that link, and hopefully we'll see you on a spotlight. But tomorrow, Heather, we're going to have some fun looking at some other amazing work on Behance.
Perfect. I'm excited. So as you can see, I'm already completely not respecting. This is more just to show the typography itself. I think when it comes to the body copy, I'm going to be keeping it the same. It'll be 12 points. But I'll definitely be having a lot of fun whenever it comes to Rosendale and Astoria, because Astoria is a very beautiful font, and also kind of lucky. There's something that is good to, like, it's good to think about for books sometimes, is if you are doing a full page spread of like large type, is the crease, is there something falling in the crease? Here, luckily there isn't, and it's a very short book, so you're not going to be having anything like falling within it, so that's nice. Just a little something to think about.
You don't have to worry about your inner margins that much. And we have a question from Angela. Looks great. What will be working on tomorrow? So what are the further steps? that we're going to take tomorrow. Can you give us a little bit of a cheeky heads up, please?
Yes, most definitely. So tomorrow will be more like designing. So today I'll be just doing a little bit more of like inputting some photography, kind of just playing around in the masters, playing around with that itself. I also have like a pages document, which is really nice. So I can like add in their intro text, which is very helpful. So we're gonna do that. So it'll be a little bit more like the nitty gritty tomorrow. Today is more just like the starting of the document, if that helps.
Yes, I think it makes complete sense. Today we're more setting up. We talked a lot about a brand and it was a great introduction. Again, if you join us, just towards the end of the stream, you missed the beginning, you can always rewatch. And if you want to join us tomorrow as well, definitely rewatch from the beginning so you get this wonderful introduction about the brand. Maybe we can do a little wrap up before we finish off today. Maybe we can run through all the beautiful graphics and colors. But yeah, then tomorrow I think it's gonna time to make the lookbook happen.
Exactly. That's when the fun is really gonna happen. So it's exciting. I have a question for you actually. So in InDesign, is there a quick way to round corners? Because I'm not seeing.
So quick way to round corners. I always double check before I give because I work with the 3 apps a lot. So yes, there is, and I'm just gonna go ahead and test it first before I go ahead. I usually use the properties panel under appearance. So if you select your rectangle and then you just head under the appearance properties panel and then appearance, there is a under stroke, there's an option called corner. And yes, exactly. You'll find your properties panel under window. So window properties is just under pages. And then from there, there is an appearance option that is called corner. And from there, you can actually set your corner, which is super cool because you can also set what sort of corner if you can have also fancy corner, if not necessarily rounded corner. There are different shapes. You can have bevel, which is more like of a diamond shape, inset that has like the frame coming in. So there's so many different shapes there. It's just literally next to the number you'll have the different option as well there.
Fancy. I'll take rounded. Cool. There you go. Oh, perfect. That's great. Thank you. That's very helpful because I
if you want to if you just want to like do it just rounded, so if you don't want to have the appearance panel is for you to have like control. So if, for example, can select multiple frames or multiple shapes all at once, and then go to the appearance and set a specific corner, so you know that that's the number that respects all of them. But if you just want to edit one, then all you have to do is select on the shape, and you'll see that there is a little yellow square happening there,
this right here.
And that will allow for you to modify the corner. So all you have to do is to drag inward and outward, and that although you have less control, I mean, you can always go back to the appearance, see the digits, and then duplicate it. So those are things that 2 approaches.
Fun. So as you can see, out of the photos, I have a few that are like this, that are more landscape, and then other ones that are, most of them, to be honest, are more horizontal / portrait. So it's something to think about whenever you're doing the layout. How exactly is it all going to work together? And like I said before, like I do see it being like a little bit cinematic. So the way that it is like rounded, the way it's going to be organized, it'll feel kind of like you're looking at like different scenes from a movie, hopefully. If successful, if not,
I love that you have the movie reference, like a fil rouge, like a continuity. So cool, just from the inspiration, because that's what you were mentioning on your mood board as well. So it's like a theme.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was very much like just trying to have like a silly fun time for the photo shoot, but there's like the whole idea behind it being similar to the movie Daisies, which is a very silly, like carefree movie that has like a feminist twist to it. So yeah, as you can already see, like there's a little bit of like storytelling happening. You can see like the different emotions that are going on. This one is a lot, of course. It's something that like, I think for this photo, I don't think the fashion designer was super like, oh my God, I'm in love with this photo, but I really like it. So I'm just going to propose it, because that's something that I think you should do sometimes. Sometimes it's good to kind of challenge clients if of course you're in the right mind to do it, or if you have a good reason to challenge. But for things like this, it's fun to, if you're passionate about something and if you want to add it to the draft or add it to the first version of it, it's always good to present it than to regret not presenting it. So that's a good,
totally. And I think that that's where like the coolest things come from, you know, like it's nice to be organized, but like you were saying before, like you were breaking your own typography rules right away. That's where that's breaking the rules does always have a very important part in creativity, I think. And talking about creativity, I want to say hi to a wonderful creative that has been here, and I had a wonderful pleasure to host here in Adobe Live. So Karen Lewis is in the chat. Make sure to go ahead and check out his portfolio by just clicking on his name. And it's been such a pleasure hosting you. We were doing also an editorial with Karen, and he's a wonderful designer based in London. So nice to see you, Karen. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's late here. It's near 10 p.m., nearly 10 p.m. right here. So thank you for joining us, and everybody who stays up in the evening watching Adobe Live.
Yeah, that's some passion right there. Thank you. So yeah, just for inputting the photos, just doing Command D and just taking it directly from the folder that I have.
That looks so beautiful. When I saw that shape on Illustrator, I was like, that's like so
perfect. Cool. Yeah, like something like this, I'm like, I'm curious, do we put a stroke on it? Do we not put a stroke on it? Like,
that's the dilemma.
That's the dilemma, like what to do. I think if I were to do a stroke, it might be like a different color though, not black.
And we have a question as well from Val. How do you tell when you should commit to a design you're passionate about and when it's time to let go of an idea?
I guess it's I like to think that if you are very passionate about it from the beginning, and if the client has some interest in it, but just hasn't seen like your own visual examples of it, like you actually doing the designs and you practicing what you want to do, then I think you should do it. But sometimes you do have to you should respect the client whenever they're saying that they definitely don't want something. So that's whenever it's good to step back and wonder, like, am I doing this for me as a designer, or am I doing this for the client? Because in the end, the client is the most important person, and of course, finding your own design challenges and ways to fix these design problems is important for you. But yeah, it's always good to respect the client, because
that's such a learning curve, isn't it? Yeah. When you're a freelance, I think letting go, it's their baby at the end, it's like you feel like you want to make sure that yes, but the rules, but we learn and we know how to make it, but it's their baby, and you're gonna have to accept that it's gonna grow with them, not with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's super important to think about that. Yeah, I think in the beginning, whenever I first started, it was very difficult for me to do that. But with time, I was like, you know what? It's not my baby. It's not my child. I just have to just listen to the client. They know best. And it's definitely true. They definitely know best whenever
it's painful, isn't it? Like because if you're passionate about what you do, it's real emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, at least when I started, it was for me. I don't know if it was
Oh, for sure for me too. It was definitely emotional, and I'm grateful I'm not there mentally anymore, because it definitely helps me out as a person, just to have that degree of separation from the project,
not to argue with the client.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a question from Karen. How did you create those shapes? They are really cool. Yes, they are. They're super cool.
Thank you so much. So yeah, I just, so you can see, just kind of like was inspired by these like really fun, like bloopy shapes that have like really fun movement to them. They're psychedelic, but also have like some inspiration from Art Deco. Yeah.
And if you feel like we have about like 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
So I don't know if right now, if you want to just like, finish off, but I think it would be very useful to just kind of like walk us through for the beginning for those that joined like Karen towards the end or towards the midpoint. If we kind of go through the journey, not necessarily right now, you can take 5 minutes at the end if you want to give you an heads up, but I think that will be so useful if we look at everything again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, most definitely. I'm just gonna finish up on like this page a little bit. Just wanna put like the little information because, of course, most important thing is documenting what is it that you're looking at right now. Like this is a document that is for the client, but it's going to be shown to like wholesale buyers, like to different shops. I know, like Hannah Easel, I've known about her work for a while now. It's funny how I found out about it. It's whenever I was in college in Ottawa. I went to school at Algonquin College. That was like 2013 and 2016. And there's this one really nice clothing shop that I like to go to called Victoire. And her stuff was there. And I would always be like touching the fabric and looking at the stuff. And it's just so funny. I think that's one of the nice things about being a graphic designer is whenever you get to go like full circle, like something that you're interested in, like a little, how many like years ago, and then eventually you're like, oh cool, now this person's a client, and yeah, you get to know them a little bit better. So that was one of the things about her and Hannah and her clothing, is that I've known about her clothing much longer than I've been on this project. So it's really nice.
Super cool. Karen is saying very cool, very Austin Power vibes.
Yes, yeah, very groovy. But yeah, I've done like typography in this style as well. It's something that just comes naturally to me, is doing like these like fun flowy bloops. So it's something that I'm just trying to accept. It's kind of my style, and just trying to put it in more projects where it's it's possible for it to be applied, of course.
Oh, I like the green strokes. Because it almost takes like the same feel of the stem of the flower. And there is like a connection with the stroke and the stem. Very intuitive connection you made there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really like whenever everything seems like it's connected. Very important for me. So yeah, I'm just wondering, I'm just going to do side by side because I want to have everyone's opinion. Let's see. Okay, so like having the type be centered like this, or having it be, just gonna put that to the left.
Is that gonna be a last minute, last Paul?
Yes, if we can do that. If it's too last minute,
we'll see what our amazing Val says. She's the goddess of the pole.
She's probably just like, oh, Heather, why?
No, we always have so much fun. Don't worry, I've done worse. I mean, she has me asking her and begging her for Paul multiple times in stream. I think we've done a few with Karen as well. I'm the annoying Paul voting lady. So let's see what happens. I'll get you feedback as soon as I see it in the chat.
Perfect. So yeah, I like to be a little bit like a little finicky with these kind of things. Obviously, like it's not lined up with the bottom, so I like to just go in there.
So we ready. If you show us the two side by side, we can give it like, we can call one centered and one, I don't know, how do you want to call it? Just let us know. Val is saying, let me know what you want on the poll.
Yeah.
You can just call it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I'd say like corners, so right, left corner, and then centered.
Right. So corners or centered, which layout do we like the most? The one with the type all centered, or the one at the type that is left aligned and right aligned at the bottom corners. Let's zoom it out so we can see perfect. And yeah, if you don't mind, just put it a little bit more to the center, because I think our lovely, beautiful faces are there covering otherwise. Perfect. Oh. So they can appreciate the two layouts. And then let us know. So it's going to be corners or centered. Ooh, we have like a very last 5 minutes poll happening. Really cool. We have a question from Greg Rowe. Font pairing tips. How do you pair fonts together?
Ooh, good question. All right, so let's just go over here for now. So for the fonts for this, I like things that contrast usually, but for this one, it's not too contrasted, to be honest. The fonts that I've used are fairly like feminine in a way, like very ornate, very like, yeah, Victorian in some ways as well. So for this one, the pairing, I have Roslindale. The reason why I use Roslindale is because it is the logo font. So you can see, as I was saying before though, like I changed a lot of things about the font, like rounded corners. I completely rehauled the A and the S and the E. Little things like that were changed, but because I had this logo in Roslindale, I wanted to continue that trend with Roslindale. This one is, let's see, display condensed light. So I have a very nice condensed tall font as the H1, the H2. For this one, it's a similar enough font. It's more display, of course, and it has a lot more like fun like flourishes to it, but in my eyes, it pairs well with the Roslindale. They're both very nice and ornate. One's a little bit more simplified, so I'm using a simplified one a little bit more than I'm using this more ornate one. And then I'm using Agrandir, which is a really fun font from Pangram. For this one, I'm using Tight, which is technically they're condensed. So as you can see, most of the fonts are condensed. So there's a bit of a trend going on, as you can see. So technically, I'm not really like having things that are contrasting, but the thing that's contrasting is that I'm using like a sans serif here, but even the sans serif has like some fun bits to it though, like the R, the A, like it has personality to it and it kind of smiles a little bit. So I like things that are similar. I think they have to be harmonious, and it takes time, in my opinion, to get there, and everyone's opinion is different. So it depends on, you know, what you like. And
I think talking about opinion, because we got probably 3 minutes left. I think it's time to reveal what's the last poll saying, because everybody's been voting. So I'm just going to go ahead and refresh one more time. If you haven't voted yet, you got like 30 seconds to click on that link and choose between centered on corners and drum rolls. Which one is your favorite? Let us know before I reveal the final. Which one is your favorite, Heather?
I like the corners. I think I changed it a little bit, but I like the corners.
Right. So I'm going to be super honest. I love the corners. I actually bought it twice.
Perfect.
But centered is winning, and is like, you know, even now I refreshed, centered was winning for the beginning. I bought it twice. It didn't matter. I bought it one for me and one for you, clearly.
That is, you know what? That is fair. I am glad that we're having people voting. It's nice having other people's opinions.
But we're going to have to go with centered because it's 77% against.
Oh my God.
So,
well, it works well though, because if you look at Hannah's website, it is very centered, which is why I was going with it originally, but I was like, maybe you can do the corners, but I think everybody's right. So good opinion, everyone.
And I don't know if you will literally got like 2 minutes. If you want to just give us like a quick shout out to your Behance, to your Instagram, a little bit of the branding of what we've done and what we're going to be doing tomorrow. I think that those are the key last minute of like probably 60 seconds to do so.
Okay. I'm gonna do
just look at the time.
Okay. So So this is like a fashion lookbook for my client, Hannah Easold. I did her rebrand in 2020, and we're applying the branding to this lookbook. I did the art direction for the photography and for the photo shoot, and the photographer is Mallory Lowe. I'll just show you Hannah Easold a little bit. So very fun, like almost bespoke, like fashion, all handmade by Hannah herself. It's a really, really cool fashion brand. I'm Heather, Heather Lynn. So my Instagram is heatherlynn.jpg. I post mostly about my work, though if you follow me on my stories, I post about all sorts of random stuff. So if you need any fun memes, check out my stories.
Oh, I'll definitely do so.
Yeah, and my Behance is just Heather Lynn. And yeah, this is my portfolio. As you can probably see if you look, Billy Club right here is one of my main collaborators, and I'm also their employee. So you should also check them out because they're amazing.
Fantastic. So thank you so much. And tomorrow we're going to keep working on this editorial lookbook with Heather. In fact, we're going to be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific, but go and grab a glass of water and then come back because we're going to be live still here at Adobe Live with the XD Creative Challenge. So make sure to go ahead and get a quick coffee, grab a glass of water, and then come back for the replays of the challenges. And then there's going to be the amazing Kyle with Draw Along. So make sure not to miss that out. Make sure not to miss that out. And we're going to be back with you tomorrow with Heather. Heather, thank you so much for being here with us. It's been wonderful, loads of fun. And I look forward to see what's going to happen tomorrow with this wonderful lookbook.
Amazing. I'm excited too. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Make sure to stay tuned here on Adobe Live. Bye.